All right, I am thrilled once again to bring on my favorite guest, good friend of the Believe in Oregon podcast, the one and only Captain Comeback, Joey Harrington. Joey, how we doing today?
Man, that was you don't need to butter me up anymore.
I always do,
I'm
man. I
I'm
appreciate it.
here. I need to adjust my camera here a little bit apparently for your. There we go. Look, I'm here. I'm in. You just call and you don't need to flattery worked the first couple times, but
It did
now
work
it's
the first couple times, but now
yeah.
I'm in the door. Good to know. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You got your foot in the door. Although Jay Stu bowing out, you get after the golf conversations last time, he got afraid and just couldn't
He
show
just
up.
ran. Yeah, yeah. He
He
saw my
just
handicap and
bolted.
was like, "All right, I don't know that I can hold my own in this podcast anymore."
If I'm coughing, it's because I have no voice left after this weekend.
After this weekend,
I literally just finished my cough drop because I have been I had no voice left. And I'm just raw and so if I start coughing, then that's what it's for. So I apologize ahead of time.
that's totally fine. I had a sinus infection all last week leading up to the game, and honestly didn't know if I'd be making it to the game by Thursday. And then I started to feel better on Friday. I was like, all right, thank God, because that was not one that we wanted to miss.
That was that was hands down the best environment that I've seen at Autzen since I left in 2001.
It was, right?
I mean,
I mean, so we set up this interview a couple of weeks ago, kind of
yep,
knowing that there would be something to talk about
sure.
this week. And I don't think even we could have predicted the day that we had on Saturday. I just want to get your instant reactions, your major takeaways, because you've been a part of this program for a long time now. You've seen the ups, you've seen the downs. What was Saturday like for you?
It was Saturday was actually the first time I've been back to Autzen in 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
We had the COVID year,
Mhm.
obviously. And then right after that, I started having knee surgery in the fall. And so the last three seasons I've been on crutches. And crutching up and down the stairs at Autzen isn't
Yeah.
isn't ideal. So it was spiritual is too big of a word, right?
Uh-huh.
But we got down there early, walked the footbridge, you know, walked around campus, just kind of took the environment in. And then ended up down on the field. I was down on the field for pregame. And it was during the national anthem, actually. Funny, they played the same national anthem now, the same version that they
Uh-huh.
did when I was playing.
Hasn't
And
changed.
to this day, I think it is hands down the best version I've ever heard. The first time I heard it was on the USS. What is the aircraft carrier that's docked in San Diego?
You got me. This is not my
Man,
not my speciality.
it's not mine either. And so I apologize if a viewer or viewers know this. Please reach out and let me know. There was actually a competition we were having a lunch with when we were playing Texas in the Holiday Bowl. So it was the Texas team, the Oregon team, the Texas band, and the Oregon band. And both bands played the version of the national anthem. And there was a judge there, I don't know whether it was the Holiday Bowl committee, decided whichever one was best, they got to play the national anthem before the game.
Wow. Interesting.
And that was the first time I had and that was a brand new national anthem that they did for that, I think, for that moment. It gave me chills the first time I heard it. Right. So fast forward, you're talking about being there for the program and what it was like. I was standing on the field before the game, and they start playing that national anthem, and I was immediately rocketed back, to 2001, and looking up at section 17 where my grandpa and my aunts and uncles, 12 season tickets right up there at the top of section 17. and then looking around and seeing the student section that was absolutely just nuts to see the evolution of what the south side of that stadium became immediately after my senior year. To be there. I ran into Matt Castle before the game and he's like, "Hey, you want to bang on the drum?" I was like, "Sure." I don't know what that is, but great. But the fact that like national television, and not that there wasn't national TV when we were playing, but like this was the focal point
This was the
for all
game.
of
Yeah.
for all of NBC. Like literally, like the entire country was watching this game. What was it like? It was just this incredible culmination of 25 years, 30 years of people who have worked for this.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means does this, this win mean that we've arrived, and hell, we still haven't won a national championship yet, right? We got to do that. But if you told, what year are we in? 2024. If you told coaches, players, fans at the beginning of the 94 season, no, 93 season, when they started 1-3 before the 94 Rose Bowl.
Yep.
If you told them that in 30 years, that's where you'd be.
Yeah.
No, that was a showcase. That was a showcase for everything that Oregon football has become. And hopefully a springboard to get to the one place that we still need to get.
I think that's a good word for it, is showcase, because it did feel like this was their, I don't want to say coming out party, because I mean people know that Oregon is something. There's something brewing
Right.
up in the Pacific Northwest. Dan Lanning's doing something. But this was a showcase because this was a huge stage and against, the blue blood of all blue bloods, and they did that. They were able to accomplish that. I want to play a game with you today, calling it 5 questions with Joey Harrington. It's simple. It's, exactly what the name is. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, some true or false, and we'll talk about this game. You ready to dive in?
Does the first question you just asked count as one of the 5?
No, does not. Thank you.
So this is technically clarifying 6 questions with.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, if you're going to be, no matter how much flattery you bring at the beginning,
if
you're going to lie to me, I mean, see what kind of relationship we got going here.
You're right. I've got to be better. I'll work on that going forward. All right. First question. Let's start off right here. Make sure I ask no other questions before I get into it. Was Saturday's win over Ohio State the biggest victory in Oregon Ducks program history? Not just regular season history, but program history?
No.
In your mind? Okay. Explain.
No. Was it the biggest win in Autzen history? Yes. 2 very different things. Similar to 2021 when we go to Columbus and win. Everybody was saying, "Oh my God, it's the biggest win in the history of the program." You lose 2 weeks later and everybody forgets about it.
Yeah.
It's meaningless. Doesn't matter. Can it lead to something else? Yes. But by no means is this win bigger than the Rose Bowl in, what has that been,
2012.
2012, yeah, because we lost in 2009 to Ohio State, and then 2012. Correct. By no means was it bigger than that. By no means was it bigger than the Fiesta Bowl in 2000, the 2002 Fiesta Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
By no means was it bigger than the Rose Bowl semifinal against Florida State. Not even close. And you can go down the list of bowl games. I mean, I'll even say, like, you could put the K-State Fiesta Bowl in, like, a regular season win, in my mind, will never be bigger than a consequential postseason victory. Now, we can have a different discussion around, was this the biggest win at Autzen Stadium?
Yeah.
Yes. I do think it was. For a whole variety of reasons. Only time that 2 top 5, let alone 2 top 3 teams had ever met at Autzen. The fact that the entire country was watching. the fact that, the way that Autzen and the fans, they showed up. Now, I mean, there is a big list of consequential. And as I'm saying this, all right, let me ask you. So this is 5 questions with Joey Harrington.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 1 question for Zach Neel. If Oregon loses, let's say they win or they lose, however many they lose, 2-3 games the rest of the year, and don't make the college football playoff, is this win still the biggest win or not?
Probably not. Just like how you said the 2021 Ohio State win was not, because that loss to Stanford 2 weeks later. I think this has the potential to be, assuming they continue to prove themselves and clear hurdles and get the job done, this could be the one of the biggest wins. I actually think I'd agree with you. This is the biggest win in Autzen history, and I'd say one of the biggest in program history, just because of what it means for Dan Lanning and for recruiting and for just kind of like we said earlier, the showcase of this program. But yeah, that's the thing. They got to continue to get the job done the rest of the way. Because if you lose this week at Purdue, none of this matters. It's kind of a black spot on the program almost, because you have this ceiling, but then, what do you do if you can't back it up?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna, and I'm not saying that this thought process is correct. I'm just spitballing here. Are we saying this is bigger than the pick? Are you saying that this win is bigger than the win against Washington and the pick? Are you saying that this win is bigger than, maybe not and this is, I can answer my own question on this, but I'm thinking of more of what it led to. Our win my senior year, first game of the year against Wisconsin at Autzen.
Yeah.
Right? Because of what that led, what had the pressure that was on us after the billboard, everything that had been, been leading up to that. And had we lost that game, then none of this gets go. Like, there are so many other games that if you sit and think about this, are we just having recency bias? Is it so fresh? Is it so incredible that it has occupied the space that was taken up by other games? And or can we still look back on this game retrospectively, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, and say, even if we didn't win, pick your thing, Big Ten, college playoff game, national championship, whatever it is, could we still say that this was a pretty incredible game and help solidify our place in the conference, solidify our place around the country? Like, do we have to win a national championship or a conference championship to validate this win? I know I'm talking about both,
No,
both
I like
ends of
it.
the spectrum here.
It's a good point of questioning on this, because I don't think there is a right answer. This is a win that is similar to the pick or the win against Wisconsin when you were playing, because it is a win that brings validation and that kind of elevates them to a new tier. In my mind, the tier that they're elevating to this time after this win seems bigger than it did after the pick or after Wisconsin or any other number of regular season games. But like you said, they still have to validate it. And the question now is, how grandiose does that validation need to be? Or how grandiose does that accomplishment at the end of the season need to be to validate this? Is it a playoff? Is it a championship? What is it that makes us feel like this win still mattered as much as it does right now?
That could technically be your second question, but I'm
It's
answering
not.
anyway.
Yeah, we're going to stop these semantics.
How big does it have to be? We all know the answer to that question.
Do you think it has to be a championship?
It does. Because name me something that this program hasn't done.
That's true.
We've been to Rose Bowls. We've been to Fiesta Bowls. We've been to, New Year's Day 6 or whatever, the college football playoffs. We've won conference championships. We've won back-to-back conference championships. We've won, we have a Heisman Trophy winner. We've plenty of all like you name all the things leading up to it. We've done that. We don't have a national championship.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing missing. And so the question was, what does it have to be to validate? I mean, if we're realistically looking, if the country is watching this game and sees this Oregon performance, it's the country that's going to validate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've had this conversation before, like and you said it just a second ago, like the ultimate of blue bloods, Ohio State. We're not in that club.
Mm-mm.
By the very definition of blue blood, like, being like the foundation, the epitome, like like that's not us. So who's going to be doing the validating? It's going to be them. It's going to be the country. It's going to be that blue blood club to say, you know what? Yeah, you're one of us now. And the only way that we're going to do that is by winning a national championship.
I think that's true, but that's also scary because it'd be incredibly easy to undercut that validation and those expectations, and incredibly difficult to achieve that. But I think we saw on Saturday that this team is capable of that. Let me get to the second question, because if we spend this much time on every question, we're gonna
We always go long, Zach. Like
stay.
you said, we're just
always
gonna go
long.
like 15, 20 minutes. I was like, absolutely not. We're gonna
Yeah,
go
I
like a
meant
full
on
hour.
I meant on the first question. Yeah, on the first question. All right, second question. This is the best Oregon Ducks defense since when?
Is it?
What do you mean, is it? You think ever?
No. I don't. I had this discussion with our crew on Talking Ducks on our YouTube channel, and every Thursday on Root Sports.
There you go. Nice plug.
There you go. Shameless plug. This defense was really good against Michigan State. This defense was really good against Oregon State in the second half. We gave up 31 points. Now, college football has changed to the point where, like, even Alabama in the playoff games or Alabama in the championship, like they're Alabama, Nick Saban, the defensive coach of all defensive coaches, is winning games. He knows he has to win games on offense, which is why he brings in Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, and right, like he even adapted. But when I think of the greatest defenses in program history, I think of Jeremy Asher and Rich Rule and Chad Cota, Alex Molden, Kenny Wheaton. I think of Haloti Ngata. I think of these Igor, Patrick Chung. Like, I think of these groups that were like truly dominant. And I don't know that this defense has played really, really well. And we can absolutely win a championship with the way that they are playing. But I don't know that I would put them in that category yet.
Okay.
Yet. Right? Give me a dominant performance against an Illinois.
Yeah.
Give me a dominant performance against Michigan or Wisconsin at the Big House or at Camp Randall. Then we can start talking about dominant defenses. Do they have an incredible amount of talent? Hell yeah, they do. Oh my God. This is as talented a defense as I've seen in a long time, but I don't know that, and not that they've been bad performances by any means. They've been, fantastic, great. But I wouldn't look at the makeup of this team and say this team is led by this defense in the way that I would about that defense led by Haloti or that defense, 94, 95.
Yeah.
Like those
2008
those were
D-boys.
Those are different.
Yeah.
Those were different groups.
Okay, third question. Was this Dillon Gabriel's best game of his career? Long career to pan from.
Okay. So I would say it depends. And it would depend on what your criteria is, right?
Mhm.
I think of Dillon Gabriel's time at Oklahoma as really good, but didn't produce a Big 10 champ or a Big 12 championship, I don't think.
No.
They lost to Texas. Yeah, no. I think of Dillon Gabriel, and when I think of him at Central Florida,
Mhm.
throwing for 600.
Yeah.
Where you're looking at this guy like, oh, who are you? I think this is the biggest stage that he has played on.
Mhm.
Ask me the question again, and I want to hear which adjective that you use, or superlative, or is this Dillon Gabriel's what?
I said, is this Dillon Gabriel's best game of his career?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's the biggest stage that he's been on. Now, I hope there will be bigger. He's had bigger yardages.
Mhm.
Like I said, threw for 600. In a game against. I remember watching him at Central Florida, and I was like, God, who is this guy's going crazy? So statistically, he's had better games, but I can't think of a game. Actually, you know what? I don't think he played in that Red River,
Yeah.
where they got blown out by Texas. I don't think he played in that game. Did he play in the bowl game last year? For Oklahoma?
I'm looking up his stats. Side
I
note,
don't think he
that
did.
game at UCF where he threw for 601 was actually in a loss to Memphis, for whatever that's worth. He did not play in the bowl game last year for Oklahoma.
Sometimes the biggest games or the best games aren't necessarily the biggest statistical outputs, but rather how did you show up in the biggest situation? And I think we just said that he didn't play against Texas. He didn't play in the bowl game. This is the biggest situation that he's been in, and he was dang near perfect.
That's why I think the answer is yes, because he did play against Texas last year, and that probably was his best game up to this point. And he didn't even have a great statistical game. I'm pulling it up right now. In that game, he had 285 yards, 1 touchdown, 113 rushing yards, and another touchdown. So, I mean, he played really well. But when you look at the stage, this was a bigger stage than that game. Higher ranked teams, more eyeballs on him, and he played better statistically. And it wasn't, I mean, we've kind of been talking all year that Dillon Gabriel does not need to be an A-plus quarterback in order for this offense to be an A-plus offense. He needs to be a B-plus quarterback, get the ball out, and let his players do their thing. He was an A-plus quarterback. Ooh, he pushed back on me there. Okay. Please
Hold on.
over.
I don't think B+ wins a Big 10 championship.
Okay.
Okay. Because for exactly the reason that we saw on Saturday. Dillon Gabriel needs to be an A quarterback.
Okay.
Right? And he needs to have A+ moments. There will be 10 moments this year where Dillon Gabriel is going to have to put the team on his back and do it himself. One of those moments was the throw he made to Tez Johnson in the corner of the end zone. Or not on the side of the end zone, where it was like that ball was as perfectly placed
to Evan Stewart. Yeah.
Wait, was that Evan Stewart in the
first half
in
one?
the
Yeah.
West? In the first, yeah, you're right. I knew that. I was making sure you knew that.
Making sure I'm awake. Yep.
Yep. I knew that. Placement, absolutely perfect. And what it did is it stopped momentum, right? That was the answer back. When he ran for the touchdown in the fourth quarter, that was one of those moments. He's going to have 6 or 7 more of those A+ moments. But the only reason we got to that point to begin with is because he played A football the rest of the game, right?
Okay. Yeah.
B+ football puts you at 10-2. 10-2 isn't good enough.
Yeah, it might be. That may be a different conversation, though. But
B+ football puts you at 9-3. Fine, don't undercut. Yeah. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Zach.
Hey, we're playing semantics today, apparently. Okay,
all right.
let's move on to this one. This one coincides with that, or at least where we got to with that. Are the Ducks now the favorites to win the Big Ten Conference in your mind?
Yes,
Okay.
they have to be, right?
Some would push back and say Ohio State still is
Why?
because they almost won on the road and looked really good doing it. I'm not saying that's my
Hey,
argument. I'm just saying the straw
we
man would
almost won
say
a
that.
national championship my senior year, but we're still number 2.
Okay.
You know, horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Yeah.
You know, they have to be the favorite, and here's why. Here's another a pushback against that. It's not like Oregon played perfect football to beat Ohio State. Sure, the crowd was insane, was phenomenal. If I told you before the game, Zach, that Oregon would have a dropped snap on a PAT, a missed field goal, get stopped on 4th and 3 on the goal line, and have a 15-yard penalty that took them out of scoring range. If I said those 4 things are going to happen, would you think they're going to win the game?
No, and then throw in an interception on the first drive that did not get called an interception. And I absolutely say, absolutely not. They do not win this
Not a
game.
chance.
Never in a million years.
That makes my point. They won that game despite those things still happening. Now they didn't turn the football over, which is the ultimate, shift. That's the ultimate statistic that you go back to. But they absolutely are the favorite. They have shown that. Yeah, I don't think there's debate. I mean, at a certain point, you start talking around in circles, and you make all the points that you want. Fine. Here's your head-to-head. Like, what does it always come down to? What's the college football committee? Go. Why did Florida State play for a national championship instead of Notre Dame in 90? What was that? 93? Charlie Ward's year?
That was the
They
year
beat him head-to-head.
That was the year I was born, so I don't think I can add much to this conversation.
Don't date me here.
I had to.
If you're a real college football fan, you would have known that one.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, and I was wrong because Notre Dame beat Florida State that year. Oh, hell, I'm getting old now. Point being is you always come back to head-to-head, right?
Yeah.
You always come back to head-to-head. Oregon won.
Yeah, at some point, the game on the field has to matter. And, they won this week, like you said. All right, last question. This is question number 5. We'll see how many more little ones I can ask you afterwards. But last question. True or false? Joey Harrington was a tiny bit bummed out to not be tabbed as the guest picker on ESPN's College Game Day in Eugene.
Oh, false.
False? No, you're lying.
Oh, false. Totally false.
What?
Number 1, I would have had to drive down there at like 5 in the morning. Ain't doing that.
Number
2, as we just established a moment ago, I'm old, right? No, and I say this knowingly and acceptingly and lovingly, and like I can acknowledge the impact that I have had in building this program, right? That is a fact. I can also acknowledge that in the 23 years since I stopped playing in an Oregon uniform, there have been, how many more quarterbacks that came after? How many more? I was having the conversation with, God, who was it? And the point was, there will always be another Joey.
Okay.
Right? His name was Kellen. And then his name was Marcus. And then his name was Justin. And then his name was Bo. And now his name is Dillon. And you start getting so far down I embrace and I actually enjoy the position, the space that I'm in with this, I don't want to say my involvement of the program. I was at the game last night, or on Saturday, and I was so happy I was there, but I didn't need to be down on the field in the mess.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to be seen. I didn't need to be validated. I didn't need to, like, and we're getting into a pretty like philosophical,
I
if it
love it.
was 15 years ago, maybe, maybe at a point where I was really low in my NFL career and I was down on myself, and I was going through some of the struggles that I was, then yeah, it would have been really nice to have somebody say, we still value you.
Mhm.
But I don't need that now.
Yeah.
I don't need that at this point in my life. I don't need that as a um, maybe it's fatherhood. Maybe it's setting an example. Maybe it's teaching. Um, maybe it's trying to teach kids how to grow up and what's important and what's not. Right? What kind of example would I be if I told my kids, "Hey, don't worry about what other people say"? And then on the backside of that coin, if I had my feelings hurt you know, because ESPN didn't choose me to be on a television show 23 years after I played, right? Like there's I like the fact that I can sit and I can watch and
Yeah.
I can say, you know what, man, like, isn't it really cool what I've helped to build?
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Look at how, look at the foundation that I helped build, and then look at where, Kellen took it, and look at where Marcus took it, and look at where Jay Stu took it, and look at where Jerome McKinley took it, and look at where Justin Herbert and Bo Nix and Demetrius Williams and Patrick Chung and TJ Ward, and like, you go down the list of like bam, 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 Tyrell Crosby, like, and I can be comfortable knowing that um, I don't need that type of external validation to feel self-worth anymore.
Hmm.
Right? Um, and what a great way to celebrate all of the incredible people that this university has helped produce. I mean,
Yeah.
Caitlin crushed it.
She
Like,
did really well.
absolutely, she crushed it. Um, and to have a it's like, I don't know, I just love showcasing what our university and what our state, um, all the great things that we are able to produce that aren't just old football players.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's not exactly where I thought that was gonna go, but I'm super happy we went down that road. That was great. Thank you. That's how it often goes with you, Joey. I'll ask you something, and then 10 minutes later, it's like, wow, I had never really thought about it that way.
Well, you know what, I often don't think about it that way either, so it just, you just
You
kind of
just
get
start
rolling and see where
talking
it
and you
takes
go
you.
with it.
Yeah.
Those are my 5 questions. I've got one tiny bonus question if you allow me.
uh of course.
How's the golf game?
um at the moment, non-existent.
Okay. I'm in the same place.
um Yep, 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 yep. I played, this is October, so I last played, oh, okay. So I played mid-September. Ryan Leaf came to town. He's calling a game down in Corvallis, and Wes Mallard hosted us, and we played out at Portland Golf Club.
Mhm.
And I played all right on the front, made a couple bogeys, made a birdie. I was 2 over at the turn. I started the back nine, eagle, birdie, lipped out a birdie on
Wow.
12, birdied 13, parred 14, lipped out a birdie on 15. So I was
Okay.
sitting there at 1, 2, 3, 4 under on the back, and proceeded to finish bogey, bogey, bogey on my way in.
Of
Of
course.
course.
That's how it
Of
goes.
course. Yeah. So I played
Yeah.
pretty well. I think I shot 73, 74. Felt okay,
That's a
pretty
good
good.
time. That's a good time.
Yeah,
Back to
but
the knee
I
injury.
think yeah, exactly. That may be the last time I pick up the sticks in a while. Although, we should sneak down to Bandon at some point.
I just had kid number 2, man, like a month ago. I'm not sneaking to Bandon anytime soon. I'm just being honest. As much as I would love to, I don't see that in
I
my
love your
future.
honesty. I love your honesty.
I haven't
Yeah,
touched a golf
we're
club in like 2, maybe 3 months, and I don't see it coming anytime soon, unfortunately.
we're in two very different places in our golfing not parabolas,
Trajectories,
but
yeah. Oh,
trajectories,
yeah.
yeah, but like the golfing arc.
Yeah.
Um, you are down here where it's like you've been playing all this golf and then you
Uh,
come down to the trough and it's like kids like, oh my God.
yeah.
And you can see that place that you want to get up to, like playing all that golf again, but you think you'll never get there.
It's so
I'm
far
like,
away.
and then like once you cross this part and then you're down here and that's like when you die, right? You can't
Yeah.
like walk you can't play golf anymore because like you're in a hospital bed. So that's those are the two arcs. It's like the beginning when you're a kid
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this game's pretty cool. And then it's like, oh man, I'm in college or just out of college and I'm playing golf all the time. And then I have kids and then I don't
Yeah.
play. And then it's like, so I'm right here where I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, and it's like, ooh,
You're close. You're
I'm
close.
close. Like, and not that I'm wishing him out of the house. I would never do that.
Yeah, of course not.
However, there would be a lot more time for golf, once Jack goes off to college, and it's like, all right, cool, Emmett, like, what do you and me, like, let's go, all right. And then once Emmett's off to college, then it's just like golf central. So
Well, just do
maybe
me a favor, stay at the top of that curve for as long as you can before you get down to the bottom and when you can't walk
before I
anymore.
die, like that's okay. So I will do my best not to die before you get to the top of the
Yes,
second golfing arc.
just wait for
Okay.
me at the top of that second arc. I'll meet you at some point. I don't know when it'll be. Maybe 15 years from
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Don't you go dying on me.
Yeah. All right, Joey, thank you so much for coming on. I know we can find you at, like you said earlier, at Talking Ducks on your YouTube channel on Thursdays. Is that where everyone can best find you?
I don't know.
You tell me. This is your time to plug.
I just show up and talk to whoever's on the screen here.
That's
That's
true.
just like, you want to talk about ducks? Let's talk about ducks.
What a life. What a life. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. We will have you on sometime soon. Always have fun doing this.
Anytime, you know where to find me, buddy.
All right.